Hello! And today I'm building a aqueduct. Now, this is based off a aqueduct in the Netherlands. And I got told by Jaren, who is from the Netherlands, that this is an aqueduct because I was looking into it and thinking that maybe this was a water bridge, which I have technically built in the past, but he told me that since there is a tunnel underneath and the traffic goes under this artificial waterway, it then is creating technically an aqueduct. So that is the reason. I believe I built a water bridge a couple months ago now, maybe going on 6 months. And I did actually think that maybe this was a water bridge when I started building it, but as I got on to finishing it, I realised it was probably not a water bridge, because a water bridge tends to you bridge the water over a bit of land or a road or something like that. But as you may be able to tell, I am sick. I have been sick for a while. That's why there hasn't been any videos, because I was away and then I got back and I made a video and then I got sick, and then it's been a week or so and I haven't released this video. I've just had this video sitting on my hard drive waiting for me to record a voiceover. So I'm recording it now, but you can probably hear that my voice is pretty bad. But I have been streaming on Twitch. I'm building London City Airport, which is going to be a new build on this channel, a new series build, I'm hoping. It's not going to be very long, because it's only an airport. But maybe 3-4 episodes, we'll see. So getting into a bit of what I'm trying to do on the video here, I'm trying to work out how to sink the road into the, make a tunnel underneath. Because the way physics work, water physics work in City Skylines is, terrible. And it's much more compact in real life, the way this is built. But because you've got to have a gap between the land and a sunken road, you can't just have a small gap. It has to be big enough so that the water can't go through, because there must be something in the game that says that this certain amount of land stops water and this doesn't. So I'm draining the roadways with the water pumps, trying to just work out how wide this needs to be. And I realise that it's way too small at the moment, so I need to use Move It and just move it out, make it wider. And in the end, it is a bit too wide, but what can I do? And I did start using keys at the start, but I did want to make the tunnel actually go right through the middle, because these tunnels are rendered because they are from the network extensions mod. But then that blows out the window when I use Los Geckos' retaining walls, because they just go all the way down, and I didn't think about it. But I ended up building it all and then thinking, oh, there's no gap. But it looked quite good in the end. It looked a bit, for me, it looks a bit weird, but it's okay. It's not too bad. So now we get to the part where I am building the retaining walls inside the tunnel system, and I use the seawalls that are just a very old asset, and I just use those because they're very nice with their corrugated iron. I probably could have used Ronix's seawalls that he came out recently with, but I built this just before he released them. There would have been a nice difference to use them instead of these. But then I do like these because they have the corrugated metal on the front, which actually closely resembles what this looks like in real life. Now, as you can see there is a pedestrian path next to the bridge, because in real life, well, I guess it's actually a cyclist path as well, because this is the Netherlands. So they have a tunnel for the pedestrians and the cyclists next to the road, but separated and elevated up, obviously, I guess, for safety. And here I am building the the facade to cover the ugly vanilla tunnels, and I just replace it with beard monkeys, construction prop things, and these are brilliant for like fake walls and tunnel bridges. They're very nice. I also cover up the bottom part here, the bit with the raised pedestrian area with Lost Gecko's retaining walls. They fill in the gap nicely and have that sort of concrete feel. Maybe I could have brought them slightly in to remove the actual pavement, but I just decided not to. I just find it something I tend to do. I tend not to build too close to roads, even though in real life it is right up against the road, but it tends to be a bit wider, obviously, on a tunnel area. I could have maybe used non-sunken roads for this, like a highway or something, and then stretched it out a bit wider. But I didn't, because there's no four small lane highways. They're all huge, and because I guess highways are normally quite big. But the only problem with this is the road is sunken, so it refrains from expanding it out at all in any feasible way. So there we go. I've created the top of the tunnel entrance, and I'm just going through some props, looking for things to make it look more exciting, less like a boring concrete front of a building. I use these. I think they're like they might be window washer things, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I skip forward, and I have placed a couple of these mesh like covers over the top of the tunnel entrance, just to add something to the build. And then I also add a staircase going up to the top of the tunnel, because I guess this is like a maintenance staircase. And it actually turned out quite well with the maintenance staircase. Now I add these support beams. These are nowhere near realistic at all. There is no support beam going across the tunnel. But I just felt that this tunnel needed something here, because it just looked very boring and very plain. So I add these along the top just to finish it off. So here are the sort of Lost Gecko retaining walls that I was talking about earlier. So in real life this thing is much smaller, and I could have made it smaller, but in the end I just decided that this was the right size. Just I don't know. I'm looking back on it and thinking I could have made this a lot smaller, but there's nothing I can do now. I'm recording the voice for the video, so there's nothing I can do. But if I ever did this again, I would make these a lot smaller. And obviously I'm using ploppable asphalt to cover up the top so that I can use decals on top of this area. I use Move It to move the decal over to the other side, remove the walls around it, and then place it back inside the opposite one, which is obviously exactly the same. If I was smart, I would have just copied it over straight over and just not bothered. But you live, you learn. I always make these silly mistakes where it takes longer, and then I do something and I regret it, but what are you going to do? So here I am using Strict Toaster's walls along the bottom of the thing, and I ended up placing that all the way around the outside, but I cut that because it's very boring and I used a lot of them, so I just cut it out. So there was a big drop between the seawalls and the grass, And I wanted all this to be covered in grass and to have foliage, shrubs and bushes and trees on it. So I had to use the ploppable asphalt to cover up the like the drop and make it seem more flat. But the only problem is that I have to use a lot of decals, and the only problem with the decals is they look too similar and too plain. So you've got to use a lot of foliage and a lot of dirt decals to sort of try and break it up and effectively make it seem more grassy. I also made a challenge for myself because I left these lights. I should have just removed them with Prop It Up, but I left them because I don't know. I assume something like this would have quite a few lights, maybe on the top area, and to show where it is. But then I put the concrete thing underneath, and obviously it's a decal, and other decals overlap decals, and it's created a lot of hassle, and it was a bit of a pain. So you can see I was placing a lot of dirt, a lot of broken rubble on top, just to try and mix it up a bit with the textures, because obviously they look too similar. I use a lot of grass and a lot of foliage on top of the artificial island to try and hide the fact that it is very repetitive. It looks okay at parts, but at other parts it just looks weird. And also had the problem, obviously, that since it was sunken, the grass didn't come through the top, so I had to use taller grass and taller shrubs at points to make it work, which is a bit of a shame. So that's pretty much everything that I've got to say for this video. But remember, check out my live streams and check out the new London City airport build that's coming out soon. Links for all that rubbish will be in the description when it's out. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.